So this is another talk in the series of talks, the topic being awakening to your true nature, uh, realizing what you truly are and not living in the mind, what you think you are, what thought says you are. The specific topic of this video is living and abiding as consciousness. By consciousness, I do not mean anything that is perceived by the senses or by the mind. That is one of the difficulties that we might have with the term consciousness when we perceive the world through the mind. In this case, consciousness is not a mind object. It is that perceives, that hears, that is, and not what appears to be. So what appears to be is in time, meaning it is an appearance for a certain period of time, and then it no longer is. So the weather appears, it's constantly changing, day and night appears, objects appear and disappear, bodies appear and disappear. Consciousness is that does not appear nor disappears, and yet it is undeniable. It is undeniable as we know it through our experience. We know from the directness of our experience that I am. Not what I am, but that I am. That there is perception, sensation, thought that are made out of I am. They're made out of awareness, beingness, consciousness, that I am. And that I am, meaning consciousness or awareness, is not knowable as you know an object, as you perceive a tree. It is not knowable via the senses. You cannot think of consciousness as you think of your mother, or as you think of being in New York City, because consciousness is not an object of thought. It is the space or the substance of all seeming forms, but it's not a substance in that it is made out of something. It is made out of itself. It is made out of awareness. Awareness is made out of awareness. So consciousness is made out of consciousness. It is not made out of anything else, since it is the ultimate reference, if you want to use that way of putting it. While an object has its reference in relation to another object. For example, a tree is not a house, or a tree is not a river. A bird is not a cat. So an object is known in reference to another object. But consciousness is not known in reference to anything. It therefore is not known in the mental realm. But the way we know consciousness is as we are it. by being it. It might sound sort of odd to speak of being consciousness, because if we are consciousness, then what does it mean to be consciousness? We already are that. We already are it. But yet, being consciousness means something very specific, which refers to not mistaking yourself to be anything else. When you mistake yourself to be immortal body mind, you are not being consciousness. You are being an object, you're being a body, you're being a me, you're being a male, a female, a father, a grandmother. Whenever you are in the mind, meaning in the identification with a form, you have stepped out of being consciousness. Not really, but for the purpose of this conversation, yes, you have stepped out of being consciousness, and you are in the world of form. You're feeling that you are a person, you're perceiving and thinking that you are a person, you're perceiving an external world and external others. So from your experience, you are experiencing separation and duality. In the absolute sense, that is not true. It is not true in the absolute sense, because from the absolute sense, only consciousness is real. Thought, thinking that you are a form and feeling that you are a form, does not actually create a form. It creates a very strong impression, a very strong belief, a very strong sensation of being a physical form. But a strong sensation of physicality or a strong belief in physicality does not create physicality. In other words, the thought that I am a man does not make me actually a man. It is just a conceptualization. It is just a sensation, a feeling, an emotion, a belief. Not really an emotion, but a sensation and a feeling and a belief that I am a man. A male sensation or a female sensation, or a sensation of being mighty or weak, whatever sensation you experience does not make you that. So being consciousness refers to not being an object, not being a form. So let me repeat that. Consciousness refers to whatever it is that perceives, that truly perceives, not what thought says. Thought refers to concept. Thought might say, you, the man, is perceiving. But the fact that thought says, you are a man perceiving, does not make consciousness a male consciousness or a female consciousness. So what is it? What is the meaning of abiding as consciousness? So abiding as consciousness is recognizing that whatever appears and is made of the aware presence that right now hears these words and perceives this image. As the attention turns from the mental projection to the source that perceives, to the consciousness, to the awareness, you are abiding as your true self, as the consciousness, as the awareness. In the absence of the thought that I am this man or this woman, in the absence of the mental image and the belief that I am a mortal body mind, there is quietness and stillness, which is the quiet stillness, the aware and awake quiet stillness, the peaceful and content, quiet, aware, awake stillness of presence, of consciousness, that has no form, that has no limits, that has no boundaries, and that is the substance of every experience and the reality of all experiences. I am not talking about some concept, one more belief system for you to learn and remember. I am talking about the reality that this very moment is the presence, this very moment, the reality of the presence, this very moment. That is the reality of this perception, of this experience. Although it is not perceived, it is the only reality. The mind mistakenly gives reality to forms, to objects. Out of habit we say the tree is real, the mountain is real. We come back 500 years from now, there is no tree and no mountain. The tree is gone and the mountain is a small hill. Or maybe the mountain has been demolished, so they build a town. So the mind gives reality in the wrong direction. The reality is the reality of consciousness. It's not the reality of a form, it's not the reality of an object. It's the reality of presence. It's a beautiful reality because it's peaceful, free, not dependent on another reality. So rather than being enamored with the world, with the forms and objects, taking the world to be real, notice the reality of consciousness. The reality of presence. that does not depend on anything, that is not in need of anything. So abiding as consciousness is not something you do, it is an understanding. Understanding in terms of realizing what is the false, that the permanent is not the changing, the real is not the changing, is not what's transforming, the real is not what is real today and less real tomorrow. The real is eternal. And it's not a concept. It is not something that is born and dies. Bodies are born and die. And the real and the eternal is not something out there in 500 years or 1,000 years or 20 years after you die, after the body dies. It doesn't work this way. The real is real across the board. Reality is reality, truth is truth across the board. Meaning this very moment. This very moment being the eternity of now, not a moment following another moment following another moment, moving from the past towards the future, moving in space and time. No. It is the reality that is eternal, outside of time. Not outside of time. Like time is in it. Time is an impression of it. Like the sun is shining on an object, and the object appears as the light of the light of the sun shines on it. So recognize that. Turn your attention to that perceives all forms, rather than turning your attention to the form itself. And you will find the peace, the rest, and the tranquility that is your divine right and your divine nature. What you are, what you truly are. What you truly are. You are that. But it's important to awaken to that and not just repeat the words. You have to come home. You have to come to the peace and tranquility. But you cannot do so as you are following experiences, as you're following desires and emotions and feelings and objects. That's endless, endless. You will keep spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. As you're looking out, looking at a supposedly out there, another person, another situation, another job, another relationship. No. It has to all come home. So your love for truth will take you home, and your love for the world and your habitual occupations with the world will keep you in the world. The illusion, the dream, unhappy dream, because in the world you perceive yourself as a separate entity. The dream is unhappy as you're running away from the lion that's chasing you in your dream, or running after the hidden treasure, all in the dream. In the dream you're always running away from something and running towards something. And that's unhappy. We all know that. It's important you choose moment by moment to turn your attention to the presence, the free, peaceful, the causeless freedom of presence. And that's truly what your heart desires and what you truly are, to come home. Thank you.